and welcome to the GiriCast on the Sports Social Podcast Network, the Malaga fan podcast for all the Giris out there. And there is an exceptionally positive reason why the Giris will be happy out there this week, because Malaga finally secured their place back in the Spanish Segunda at the first time of asking after that fantastic result up in Tarragona. And here to talk with me through that wonderful game are three of my favourite, happiest Giris. One and only Luke Chambers. What is that way?
Evening, mate. How are you?
Not too bad, Tar. Thank you very much, matey. Chris Marquez.
Hi.
And the one and only Alex Ashmore, or the Bowtie Guy, as he's fast becoming known as on social media, on international television. Slightly famous is now as Alex Ashmore. So, how are you, Alex?
I'm doing very well. Shall I wear a bow tie for the next GoCast show? Maybe for end of season awards. End of season awards, I'll wear a bow tie.
It's African TV, isn't it? It's African TV.
Yes. Well, this goes out in Africa as well, so I guess we're both.
Yeah, but it's made for the African audience, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Are the Euros a big thing in Africa, Alex?
I think football's a massive thing. So, and I think European football is probably the biggest out of all the continents. So when you've got players, from Real Madrid, from Barcelona, from Man United, City, all of those playing in one competition, you're going to get all eyes on it, really.
He is truly Mr. Worldwide right now. But to move quickly, we're going to go back into covering that wonderful win up in Tarragona, as I've said, but just to bring you up to date with all the latest news from La Rosaleda this week. Firstly, we've had fixtures announced, so no sooner than we actually end the Primera season, we're already slap bang into the preparations for the next one. The Spanish Segunda is going to start on if I remember rightly, the 18th of August, or the weekend of the 18th of August. Malaga will start with a jovial short trip to the northwest of Spain, Galicia, to play Racing de Ferrol. Luke, first game, are you excited for it? Do you like the look of the fixtures?
I'm excited, but I'm also physically drained. As like you've just said, it's 3 days since we've gone up. But I don't think it's a bad game at all, minus the mammoth trip. Racing de Ferrol started off the season very well last season as a newly promoted team, so it's a good base for Malaga to try and judge where we are. Yeah,
it is. I was slightly disappointed because I booked my holiday around that weekend on the faint hope that we could be at home, but I don't think we could literally get any further away from Malaga being at home that weekend. So, not much to my luck. Alex, Racing de Ferrol is obviously of Javier Delamas's parish nowadays. Could they serve as a bit of inspiration for Malaga? They kind of came up into Segunda and really hit the ground running, didn't they?
Yes. No, I think, and we'll get more onto this later about expectations and how much... I feel like, when we were back in Segunda, I think someone once called me Sensible Alex. I feel like that moniker is going to come back this season, and they're going to be a bit bored.
Wide, obviously.
But I won't bring that back until at least August, because we've got a summer to enjoy ourselves first. But I think you see what they do as a club. They're obviously a lot smaller in terms of stature than Malaga, but I think it's definitely a model to go off. And I think the first aim, as Claudio Ranieri would put it, is safety.
Yes, 3 points on the board is always the aim. And I don't think that's the worst place to start, considering that this is a fantastic league for next year. Obviously, no B teams, which is brilliant. A league of sleeping giants, I think. I was told that 17 out of the 24 teams in this league next year have played in La Liga as well. So some massive clubs. Chris, who are you looking forward to playing next year?
Deportivo La Coruña.
That is the big one, isn't it? That is the big one.
And Cádiz is a big one. I think those are the top two. And Granada, because Malaga and Granada fans are friends. So that's a beautiful match. I think the Andalusian matches will be a beautiful Almeria as well.
Yeah, plenty of them. Massive representation for Andalusia in this league this year. Zero representation from Madrid and zero representation from Catalonia as well. So a bit of a weird one. We've got kind of like the periphery. It's like all coastal, isn't it, this season? So that's quite interesting. Obviously, we're joined by Cordoba as well, Luke. Happy to see them come up with us as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's been very nice to see over socials since we've gone up. The Malaga players, the Malaga fans wishing Cordoba very well. You can see the real bond. I've got to fully agree with what Chris has just said. The Deportivo La Coruña, what a game to come back into. Then you've got Zaragoza, Oviedo. It's just nice to be back in amongst some of these biggest famous clubs in Spain.
Yeah, as much as
I didn't like the way Cordoba played the second leg of the playoff finals.
Did you see the winning goal?
Yeah.
What a mess.
Well, that was a point made to me in terms of you can see what kind of pressures are on a B team when they decide to play out the back in the last knock-ins of a playoff final. It says everything you need to know, but plenty to be excited for. So, like you say, some massive clubs, big crowds coming to the Rosaleda, and I really hope the Malaga fans travel like they did last year. I hope we've got that bug now, which would be brilliant. So keep your eye on that space. Moving on to some sadder news. Obviously, it was announced yesterday, I think it was, that David Ferrero is no longer going to be continuing with Malaga, deciding to part company by mutual consent. I made a pretty bold claim, Alex, that without David Ferrero, Malaga don't have promotion. Would you agree with that sentiment?
100%. I think a lot of people criticised both the club and unfairly him when he arrived. I think we're all, I think quite a few of us were saying, what are we doing signing a 35-year-old who's out of favour? I believe he was with Huesca. Was it Catalonia?
Yeah.
So, I think the trajectory of his story with Malaga, from signing, people doubting him, people being like, is this where we want to be as a club, to then, we've often used this phrase, he was the experienced head in that, coop of headless chickens that we had. So yeah, I think he did brilliant to level that out, and the influence he had on the games that we've won, and getting quite near to double figures in both assists and goals is pretty impressive if you're only here for 6 months.
Yeah, definitely. I was surprised to see this message. I know he only signed on a short-term deal, but Chris, going into the Spanish Segunda, obviously he's got a lot of experience at that level. He's shown that he is not just a fantastic player to have on the pitch. He's a fantastic player to have on it, like Alex was alluding to. So is it a surprise to you that he's decided to part ways with Malaga? Is it his age? Is it the level? Does he want to be closer to home because he's from Galicia? So maybe he wanted to be closer to that region. I'm not too sure. What do you think?
That's not the reason for a footballer, is it?
Not always. Not always. Sometimes.
I think if it was for him, he would have stayed at Malaga. Why not after this season? I think, and I'm not sure because I don't know it, but I think this was more a decision made by the club rather than Ferreiro himself.
Are you alluding to maybe freeing up some budget for a certain other winger who might be on the cards? We don't know yet.
Because
no one conjecture.
Who could you be possibly referring to, Nick?
I'm not too sure. I saw this video on the internet today which was like a come home play, and it might be something along the lines of that, but who knows? It's a mystery to me.
I don't think that player will be possible, but he said he wants to join Malaga this season. Ser Valencia have announced this week that he was negotiating his resigning with Valencia to come towards Malaga to play for Malaga. I don't think it's possible due to the financial rules in La Liga, which will probably make it impossible because a player can only earn 50% of his wages the season before. Yeah. So I don't know what his wages are, but I guess it's more.
They'll be pretty good,
50%
won't
of
they?
it is still millions.
Yeah, you'll be on pretty good stuff, but look, we can dream. We can dream. So obviously, very sad to lose David Ferrero. Certainly, in my opinion, he will be missed. He won not only hearts and minds, but he was like I said before, a huge factor in this promotion. One player that maybe not so much, Aviles Luke. He's had his loan has ended. He's gone back to Leganés. Didn't see too much of the young man with his shirt tucked in and looking all primed and premed. Was he a bit of a waste of a squad place in the end?
Yes, it just didn't really work out for him, did it? I thought he lacked a lot of confidence, minus the shorts up to his tits. You got to be confident for that. But I tell you what, he gives a cracking hug on the pitch Saturday night. He was a very firm hugger.
Early,
yeah, it's just.
Is this the perfect time to put in that meme of football friends?
Yeah.
In
terms of Aviles as a player, I think there's a bit of confusion around the guy. Is he a centre forward? Is he a winger? I dare say we didn't really see him have a shot. I think his memorable moment was maybe potentially winning a penalty at San Luquenio, which we didn't get. Besides that, I can't remember a thing what he's done.
Maybe it wasn't important on the pitch, but as Malaga says and all the players say, the reason why they got promoted is because of their hard work and their teamwork, and especially there being a team and a family. And it's easy being a team player when you're on the pitch, but it's more difficult being a team player when you're on the bench. So guys like Aviles also had their part in this whole promotion thing.
True. However, if there's a space in Malaga's team to be the number 9 that doesn't play, I'm available. I can train during the week. I can sit on the bench. It's fine. But he's going back to Leganés anyway, back to Madrid. We'll watch what happens to him. More players continue to be linked with not only moves away from the club, but obviously a lot of questions around whether they will continue with the entity going into the new season. Very quickly, Roberto has more suitors. This time, Braga making themselves known that they want to come in and get him. There was a wide-scale reports last week that Atleti were in for him as well, and deal had been agreed. I think surely now Malaga are in a great bargaining position, Alex. 6 million euros is the figure being touted.
Yeah, I think, when it comes to, I was speaking to a friend the other day about this, how, Malaga don't have the stature and prowess at the moment to keep players. And also, if a player wants to leave and he has that opportunity to play for a bigger club, let them go. I'm very much in that camp of, if you keep them, they could, not always, but there could be a possibility of them resenting that opportunity being rejected. But yeah, I think there's no harm in bringing in extra funds, and if that means we can reinvest in the squad, then I'm all for it.
Well, Juaros has said this week that there has been no contact so far with any club of Roberto's side, and that they are going to soon do an offer on behalf of Malaga for him. So
yeah, I mean, obviously it'd be a shame to lose him. I think you've got to look at it from a realistic point of view. If a club does come in and offer 6 million, we'd be silly to not accept it.
Yeah, I'd just be happy if the money was reinvested, because obviously we had a lot of what was it, the Alex Calvo and the Cristiano money from last season. We might have this for next season. Who knows?
We do, didn't we? Back in September, we've got it for next season. So now we do.
Exactly.
You hope
we're already in the black. We're fine. But I think as well, from my perspective, if Roberto is going to go anywhere, I get the move to Atleti and then being loaned out. There obviously is talks of him being loaned back to Malaga as well, which I think would be quite a good situation to be in.
I don't see him going to Braga.
No, I think the
I think Malaga won't
relationship between the clubs and everything, is it, to say the least? Yeah, with the Horta case and stuff like that.
How about they pay us, double? They give us the Horta money and then they give us the Roberto money.
I don't see Malaga even negotiating with them.
No, absolutely. But I think as well, Roberto, Luke, he could be going to a club whether it's maybe the top end of Segunda, maybe the bottom end of La Liga. Obviously, he's got options to move abroad as well. There was clubs that were in the Champions League in Cyprus, which were linked to him. So Roberto on the back end of this season will surely want to go to somewhere where he's going to be the man. You know, he's going to be a starter, at least someone who is in and around the first team squad. Going to Atleti doesn't seem right to me because there is a all too possible chance that he could end up back in Primera Federación with their B team.
Yeah, I mean, as a player always wants to be loved, and we've all been in La Rosaleda and amongst the Malaguistas and know that Roberto is the top boy. Everybody loves Roberto. By going to Atleti, like you say, we've seen it 1,000 times with players. Would he ever play for Atleti? I don't think he would. The loan back to us would be great in terms of ourselves. We make some money and getting back. But I was reading into it earlier, and like a lot of Malaga fans are saying, look, don't always think too far out the club. Remember, Sandro never really worked. He could have been an absolute legend at Malaga if he carried on playing for Malaga. But we know when the carrot's dangled in front of you, etc., you can't fault Roberto if he did go. But I personally would absolutely love to see him have one go at Segunda at least, and then take it from there.
But with all respect, I mean, how many goals did he score?
20
were it?
Yeah, 21.
Okay. And they were all in third Spanish division. Do you really believe Atletico de Madrid is going to look for a player in third division?
Well, they have a similar case with the.
It doesn't make any sense.
They have a player, I forget his name, and if one of you does remember, do jump in. But they have a player who they signed, a youngster who's on loan at one of the second division clubs. I think it might be a Cartagena or something like that. But they signed this youngster for the idea of learning him out and then bringing him into the first team in the future. Obviously, Roberto is still very young. He's only 21. So, his ceiling is quite far away from reaching a ceiling, you could say, with the proper training and the proper development. So, for 6 million for a club like Atleti, why not? It's a risk worth taking.
They did the same with Riquelme as well, didn't they? They loaned him out to Mirandés. He had a great season with them, and then he went back into Atleti, got into the first team, and he's really established himself now, hasn't he?
Do you really think that Atletico de Madrid buys him? Atletico buys him, and then next season he plays at Malaga.
I think anything.
The season after it, he will play for Atletico Madrid.
Well, we never know. Football is a strange game, but this is also in a year where Lorenzo Zuniga signed for Real Madrid, so anything could happen, in my opinion.
But what is the chance?
You've got to think, guys. If Atleti's got £6 million to chuck at a striker, like Chris is saying, why would they be doing that at a third division player? I understand what you're saying in terms of he's young, he's raw, there's plenty to work on, but surely there would be something in terms of, look, let's see him in Segunda. I mean, Roberto could go from hero to not zero, but a long way down. If Roberto stays at Malaga and scores 3 goals this season, I mean, when he had the loan spell at Barca Bay, was that Segunda or was that Primera?
Yeah, Primera.
You know what the problem
he
is?
got 6 goals, didn't he?
Because this is the biggest problem in football with talents. They leave their club at a young age, at 20, 21, and then they sign with a big club, and then the big club let them play for another club on loan, and then the season after it, they're still not good enough for the first team. Yeah. Then they go on loan again somewhere else, then on loan again somewhere else, and then they end up signing somewhere else.
It's player laundering, I think, is the term that's being used at the minute. Clubs sign lots of young players with the hope.
Chelsea's the prime example, aren't they?
Exactly. So, but we will continue to see what happens with Roberto anyway.
For the player, isn't it? If you're changing teams every season.
Well, that's football. People like to be journeymen. That sometimes happens, but
yes and no, but it's not good for your talent.
No. But 2 other players that maybe or sounds like won't be continuing with Malaga next season. One being Juan De, who I know has been linked with a move to Tenerife. Hanganaro as well, which is quite surprising. Alex, I think you brought this to our attention this evening. those are going to be
It's still
some
a
big
rumor,
hopes.
right? It's still a rumor.
It's still rumours. It's nothing confirmed, but obviously this is coming from Cope Malaga, who I'm told is quite a reliable source on this. But first of all, I suppose the question to ask, Alex, would you like to see them continue with the club next year? And what happens if they don't?
I think both. Am I correct in saying that they're both out of contract this summer?
Yeah.
So, there's no financial gain from it for Malaga. If I was in charge of offering new contracts at the club, I would 100% offer a new deal to Juande. Do it. If then he chooses to go to another club, say Tenerife, I wouldn't blame him. But with Canaro, I think as well, I'd probably offer him a newer contract as well. I think the experience he brings, maybe on his days, he's not always the best player, but I think having him in the dressing room is more of a positive than it is a negative. So I think, I definitely offer them new contracts. If we lost both of them, I don't think it would be the end of the world. I think we could get over it.
Yeah, Luke, I think that's a very good way of looking at it, isn't it? Because no two doubts that there's got to be some massive improvements to the squad this year. Juande and Ganaro are obviously very good players, and we thank them for what they did for us in this last season. But when you look at the competition in those positions, no doubt we're going to be signing some of the players in there to compete with them. So would they think, well, actually, is it worth me staying around to play second fiddle to potentially new men?
I think that's potentially the case in terms of Canaro. He's looking at the situation and thinking how much game time will he actually get. Just going back to what Chris said regarding Aviles in terms of the team spirit, Canaro is the ultimate for that within the change rooms. I think he is the leader, not only on the pitch, but in the change room as well. I think he's gained a lot of respect off the fans for how he's returned from the Segunda event, which we all know effectively was his fault, bits of it. I personally would like to see Canaro stay, but if it is a matter of how much game time you are going to get, you can't fault him for leaving. I put the poll out earlier to the fans, just asking, would you like Canaro to stay? And I think it worked out about 64% said that they would actually have him. But as long as we are going to sign some players, yes, he would be down the pecking order for sure. Juande, I was always a big fan of Juande, but I do think he's had, I don't know, has the Malaga story ran out a little bit now? The injuries, the form, etc.
We shall keep an eye on those anyway. And over summer as well, we'll bring you all the latest transfer news coming in now in and out of Malaga as we get that news through. Just one final piece of news before we finally move on to that game. A new camiseta is going to be released on the 8th of July. New shirts. As you know, I fucking love football shirts, so of course I'll be in for this one. Hummel are doing some beautiful work at the minute. They are absolutely smashing it. Them and Macron, for me, best two shirt designers in the market at the moment. Adidas and Nike have got work to do to catch up to them. Umbro somewhere in the middle. But apparently this is going to be a bit of a retro shirt. Now, we've had one retro shirt this season. It sold out like that. Are we thinking they've clocked onto something here and said, right, let's get another retro shirt and we'll sell bloody millions of them, Chris?
I think the first thing the club is thinking is, please, Giri Cost, don't do this to us again. That's the first thing. Because we were the first to bring the Malaga shirt into the world. I don't know. I think it's great, but in my honest opinion, I think it's, for me, a bit too early to think about new kits already for next season.
Well, we've got to start the season in literally.
He's coming around quick.
Pre-season starts on the 13th of July or something, so we've got to act fast. I'd love a remake of the 1998 home shirt. You know, those quite really bold blue lines against the white. Betis,
I think that's been a popular one with the fans, hasn't it, for sure?
Yeah, Betis had a similar one for their specials, like centenary shirt or whichever one it was, which was like really wide green lines on the white with gold accents and stuff. That was really smart. So Hummel have got form. In Hummel we trust. Quique Perez has already said how amazing Hummel have been as a partner since switching over from Nike. So fingers crossed for something pretty spectacular. But we shan't wait no longer. Let's get onto that game. Let's talk about that game up in Catalonia, in Tarragona, in that stadium where Nastic play, because I forgot the name of it. Luke, you know the name of it. You pronounced it so well on your little video, which was great. First of all, let me get a feeling from you guys. What was your pre-match build-up like? Obviously, we've all got different experiences here. Luke, I know that you were in Tarragona. Chris, I know that you were in amongst the Malaga fans in the Costa del Sol. Alex, me and you, we were just vibing each other up, weren't we? Like, oh, it's proper psyching it. Luke, your experience of being in Tarragona on the day before the match, please.
A nice chilled out morning. It were very nice to see so many Malaga shirts out and about after reading about the tensions amongst the fans. As the day went on, the nerves definitely came in. We went and met all the Malaguistas in the Central Park, I believe it was, and then the atmosphere really started building then. And at the time, I was devastated not to have a ticket. We made our way back to Tarragona. Like when I spoke to you guys, watched the first half in a bar, and it's so fairy tale like. But something were telling me to just go to the game, and Laura well up for it. We walked down to the ground, and we were outside the ground. Saw the turnstile, and I went to the guy and tried to just bribe him a bit. I says, "Amigo, 40 euros," and he wanted to. He looked at his friend and basically said no. So we marched back about 20 yards, watching the game on the telly with puppy dog eyes on. Nastic went 1-0 up, as we'll speak about. And then the turnstiles was open. And like, come on. It was as if like it's saying, now you can come in.
now you can see your team lose, potentially.
An absolute fairy tale of sitting in a bar for the first half and then by the 55th minute being in the ground. Unbelievable. But during the day, it was a real friendly atmosphere amongst the fans. I know there was also a bit of trouble, but overall, I think a lot of fans got on with one another. Just a lot of nerves in there for both.
Yeah, I can 100% appreciate that. And on the Costa del Sol, Chris, how was the vibes before the game? Was there a lot of optimism in the air? Was there a lot of people out there with their shirts on and flags and things like that?
It was only shirts the whole day. The only thing I saw. Couldn't sleep on Friday, so I had to come up with a plan. So I went to the beach on the Saturday afternoon, and then I came back, took a shower, ate something, and then I was off to the Parador.
Yes, and in amongst all the Malaga fans, as we saw in the videos that you streamed to us on the live stream. So it sounded like there was a good atmosphere building ahead of this game. One thing that we got out straight out the box was the starting 11, unchanged from the last game, Alex Ashmore. Were you happy with that? Were you quite content, or would you rather have seen some movement?
I think it makes sense. You know, I think I said this on the live stream. Don't change it if it's not broken. And I think, yeah, it was a sensible decision. Some of the changes, we'll get onto that later, I think were a bit questionable. But yeah, I was happy with the starting 11.
Yeah, you as well, Luke?
Yeah, zero complaints from me. I think it was, if he did make rash changes and it did go tits up, I think Pellicer's head were definitely on the line, but no complaints.
Yeah, it seemed to be, if it's not broke, don't fix it, eh, Chris?
Yeah, I think it's that we won against them at home with this lineup, so why change? Never change a winning team.
No, absolutely. A winning formula was being had. However, at the start of the game, I don't know from your guys' perspective, but I really felt like Nastic came out the blocks a little bit, applied a lot of pressure. They probably had the better start. And I think the atmosphere was really helping them as well. Would you agree with that, Alex? Like, it was a bit backs to the wall for a little while, wasn't it?
It was and it wasn't. To be brutally honest, I never felt threatened in that first half. There wasn't. I don't think there was a period of play where we were really under the cosh. Yes, we had to do some defending. We had to deal with some threat. But I never really, the nerves didn't kick in until the second half for me. I was actually quite calm and I was quite confident about it. I went into halftime thinking better teams may be a bit too strong of a word, but I definitely don't think we were the worst of the two teams. I think we did well. We were comfortable. We attacked a little bit as well. To be honest, the biggest takeaway from the first half was how dirty Nastic were and how poor the ref was. And it was the same story in the second half and extra time.
Yeah, that's what I was alluding to in terms of, like you say, being under that constant attack in terms of some of the fouls that are being chucked out there, some of the dirty tactics, the crowd.
Do you feel that way? Because I thought, in my opinion, we were the better team. Maybe we didn't create much, but we were very relaxed. I didn't see any danger coming from no real danger. We had it all under control.
I agree with that. I think we were a controlled side, but I think they were trying to get at us a lot, and I think that and they were trying to rile us up a fair bit as well, and that
Yeah.
is seen by Nacho's kick out at Juande, for example. You could see they had a game plan similar to the one they had in the first leg, where we're going to try and get into your ribs a little bit.
No, Nastic football. That's what they do. They play football from the board to the pitch to the fence. It's all have been nasty, but that's not only against Malaga because it also was in the two games against Ceuta in the half final.
Yeah.
It wasn't only against Malaga.
No, I think there was something ridiculous like 9 yellow cards and 3 reds across this game. This final four.
I really think that Malaga had that under control. They kept their heads where their heads should be. They didn't go along with the strange, dirty, and nasty play of Nastic. And I think also that the referee also had it under control.
I do think at some point you could see the amount of nasty tackles and shirt pullings and arm grabbings was getting to Roberto a little bit. I think not in a way that he was going to react back, but I think he was getting quite frustrated that none of it was giving.
You want your striker to be frustrated,
but no, I think
that's when Roberto was at his best.
I saw him, I saw him frustrated, but I saw him frustrated in a way for periods where he lost a little bit of that. When something constantly doesn't go your way and you feel a bit dejected. Yeah. I did feel a little bit of that from Roberto.
Yeah, there was definitely a part. There were definitely a part of Roberto which we will speak about in a bit, but where he really lost his head, and I think that were a sign of frustration through the evening.
Yeah,
way later on in the game.
Then that's the part I wouldn't agree where the referee was good. I think he was poor throughout this game. Really, he looked very, very lost to me. Starting with maybe this one, Alex. Nacho's, as I mentioned before, he had a little kick out at Juande. Ball was well clear. He's put a leg through, and he decided to take a bit of a kick at Juande's leg. Was he just lucky to get a yellow for that one? I thought it was a bit nasty. That really.
I mean, yeah, there was multiple opportunities, and I think there was one point, we'll come on to it, the second half, where I thought it was Nacho that had fouled someone, but it was actually, I think it was
Trigueros.
Yeah, Trigueros, that was it. So I think it was everyone. To be honest, it all feels like a bit of a blur. There were so many nasty challenges that I feel like they could have had at least 2 or 3 red cards.
Easily.
They pretty much did in this game. They had 2 reds by the end of it, but I think at one point, at that point, Concha had already been taken off in extra time. But obviously, we've already spoke about how Malaga controlled themselves, had a pretty good first half overall. So I'll quickly move on to the actual first red card, and that was Nacho for a second yellow. Huge challenge on David Ferrero, Chris. Again, he knows what he's doing, and he's gone in on him. I think maybe Ferrero is leaning away from it a little bit, so it makes it look worse than it maybe was. But still, the intent is there, and he's lost his head, hasn't he?
He lost it, and it's definitely a yellow card, and a well-deserved one. So I don't think there's much discussion about this one.
No, I would agree on that one. The one thing I would take out the back of that, though, and the thing I always get wary about when you play teams that go down to 10 men, and me and you, Alex, were discussing this on the live stream, weren't we, is that you can really galvanize a side by going down to 10 men because they then feel like they've got nothing to lose. They're up against it. They are expected somehow to be beaten because they are at 10 men. And would you agree with me, Luke, that this red card seemed to really galvanize and jeer on Nastic?
100%. I mean, like I say, we got into the ground about 5 minutes before that, and it was a good atmosphere. But after this red card, the ground was like a cauldron. It really was, and Nastic, credit to him, They came out of the blocks for the next 10 minutes after that red card.
I
I think
think
Malaga really. This is the first time Malaga struggled with the occasion. Just for the 10 minutes after the red card, I don't know, there was a bit of confusion. It was as if Malaga really tried to slow the game down a little bit too much with the play, as if like, look, if these don't score, we're through. Rather than thinking, let's get this goal and really kill the tie.
I think when you look at that red card, it was a turning point in many ways. It gave Nastic that little bit of extra kick to go on. Usually when teams go down to 10 men, they sit back in blocks of 4 and defend. Nastic obviously couldn't do that. They needed the goal. And I think that, like you said, Luke, I agree. They kind of felt a bit shell-shocked in a way. Malaga, they were a bit like not really sure how to make the most of this advantage. But I do also think that the going down to 10 didn't favour Nastic as the game went on. I think if they were with 11 men in the 122nd minute, Malaga don't score. I think that constant pressure that we kept applying, and yes, some of the crosses were pretty darn awful, and some of the opportunities that we had were pretty flaky. And I think until Aaron Ochoa-Maloney came on, we didn't really have a proper shot on target or a chance. But I think that constant pressure wore them down, and if they had 11 men at the end there, I don't think we score.
Yeah, it was a real back to the wall job, wasn't it? And obviously, as you were saying before, Luke, Nastic, really started to pile on the pressure, and they were awarded with the goal. A very Rory Delap-esque throw-in from the right hand side somehow finds its way towards the back post. It's then nodded back in, and Godoy kind of like contorts himself around Einar. And again, I want to blame Einar, and I don't want to blame Einar because it hits the back of Godoy's head and goes in. I don't know if he knew too much about it, Chris, but obviously at that point,
it was the dumbest goal of the dumbest football player I've ever seen. he didn't even. I mean, I have scored goals in my life where I made the attempt to hit it, and I was very lucky because the wind or because the grass or anything. There was a reason why I was lucky, but this was just this wasn't luck. This was stupidness because the ball hits his backside of his head and it just goes in.
Yeah, no, I don't know if he knew.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think he knew too much about it, did he, Alex? I think it's kind of like just one of those where he's just literally stretching himself to try and get something on it, knowing if I get the slightest bit of touch, there's a good chance that this will go in.
And of all the players, it had to be him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest, I think it was the same with the second goal. I think, the second goal was a better header. Obviously, it was more of a crafted header in that sense. But both goals, from a defensive point of view, were very frustrating. More so the second goal, because, how can you be letting a player get ahead in that area of the box? Obviously he was marked in air quotes, but, it wasn't tight enough marking. And the same with the first goal. There's no way you should allow your defender to have a clear path to goal with a header. You should be getting in front of him or getting behind him. And I think Einar has to do better with that first goal. Yeah,
and I think, again, it really sort of like took the roof off the place a little bit when that goal went in, and you saw the reactions from Godoy. Obviously, he didn't stay on for much longer after he scored the goal. He was replaced by who we aptly named John Hardy, didn't we, Alex? Because Juan Hardy is a bit of a mouthful. Santa Maria obviously came on, involved in both goals just before that happened as well. I suppose I want to ask here, we brought on David LaRubia for Kevin on the hour mark. Didn't feel like a great move to me. And then we brought Dione on with 10 minutes to go. I think we took off, if I remember rightly, it was Genaro for him. So the substitutions that David Vidal made seemed to really have an impact, whether it was Dufour at the back, really being solid, whether it was Santa Maria obviously providing and scoring a goal himself. In regular time, for me, the subs we made didn't really inspire me that we were actually going to get through to the end of the 90 minutes with a winner. Does that make sense, Luke? Did you feel that in the stadium?
I did, for sure, but we had to change something. At the end of the day, we needed the goal. I think we were struggling to actually break Nastic down. the play was rather slow. So in terms of like the Kevin substitution, I've got no issues with that. I think we've all said this season Kevin maybe slows the play down a little bit too much. I don't know how much the telly picked up, but from inside the ground, it felt like Larubia did actually do all right. He was trying to create. It wasn't always paying off, but we were trying to create. But for me, everything was just a bit too slow until the final whistle of the 90 for us. We could have won that game in 90 minutes if we would have moved the ball quicker.
Yeah, no, I think that's it. And we got to 90 minutes and it was 2-2. And that it basically caused for extra time to go. We knew going into extra time as well that there'd be no penalties at the end of it. So basically half an hour to save your season. We had to score a goal. We had to make sure that we were going in there 3-2 on aggregate. And then the worst thing happened, Chris. Santa Maria, literally 3 minutes after the restart, pops up at the back post and scores a second for Nastic, effectively meaning that Malaga had to score twice to even get into Segunda. And when you're in extra time, half an hour away in Tarragona, it looked impossible, didn't it?
Against nasty Tarragona. Very nasty Tarragona. You knew it was over. It was over. I walked away from the bar. I had a few minutes to myself on a bench. And I went back and I sat on a chair and didn't really look because I couldn't watch it anymore.
No, us on the live stream as well, Alex. We were like, we just went immediately deflated, didn't we? We struggled, to be fair, for the first time this season, I genuinely struggled to find words to describe what was even happening. And fortunately, we had some, fantastic people online with us, Alex, who made us believe. But at that point in time, we were just gone, weren't we?
Did people make you still believe after the 2-0?
A little bit. I think I felt sick, to be honest. It was at that current moment when we were 2-0 down, I was saying to multiple people, this is the worst day of my life. I don't think I've had worse days. And my friends on my course in Madrid were all watching the live stream on their phone. And one of them sent me this picture. If you're listening, go on YouTube and look at the picture on YouTube because it's just me with my head in my hands. And I think that was about it. From when they went 2-0 up, my whole state was just head in hands, rocking back and forwards, every so often going, Nick, I feel sick. This is too much. I can't handle it. And then Nick saying something similar back. I to be honest, I was really nervous and felt quite dejected and was kind of accepting the defeat or starting to try and accept the defeat already. But when that little Irish magician came on and injected something, like I won't even get to the goal yet, but when he came on, it was just that spark. I think you said it, someone like an Ethan Marino or someone like an Aaron Maloney, just to give something different.
At this point, I want it noted and agreed by Alex that at the start of extra time, before it even kicked off, I said what we needed was Aaron Maloney to just basically break between the two back lines of defence and someone like Antonito to have a bit of run in it. You are hearing right. I am Sergio Pellicer. I am the man. I did text him. But no, I think it's exactly what we needed. And when Aaron Maloney came on, he was so lively and he did that job so well. He wasn't sitting back alongside a midfielder. He was actively going to find the space and realizing that if I go in between these two lines of back three, there's a good chance I can get a shot away. And a bloody shot he did. He obviously tried to bend one in the top corner. It's been saved and parried. And who does it fall to? The man twice his age, Dione, who we've slated all season for not being the man we expect him to be, Luke. And he pops up with a nice little finish. Bang, 2-1. Then you start to believe, don't you?
He did what a number 9 striker does. He he anticipated what was going to happen. He finished it. Totally agree with what you guys are saying. For me, Aaron Maloney effectively won us this tie. When he came on and off the ball, his movement was so fast. He kept the play flowing. He wasn't slowing the game down. Just without going back to negative, just when you guys said about the 2-0, I have never felt so deflated in my life. I said to Laura at the time, I said, this is it. That's it done. Malaga do not score 2 goals in 20 minutes ever. At this time, we're also surrounded by 3,000 Nastic fans having the time of their lives. And we honestly felt like crying. But as soon as this goal went in, for some reason, as soon as this goal went in, I'm sure you guys all felt it. We had one more thing in us. It just felt we had one more thing in us.
I'm going to honest. For me, not the first 5 minutes. I thought this hurts even more. That's what I thought at the start. After the goal, right after the goal, the first 5 minutes, I thought this hurts even more because now we have scored a goal.
So close.
And we're going to be so close. This hurts even more.
Yeah, I was not too happy with the way that Nastic would get promoted in that scenario. So even when we scored, I think we said, didn't we, Alex? We went, this is even worse because they're going to go up on a technicality because they finish higher in a league that we weren't even in.
Yeah.
So it was, a bit of a sour taste. But
I think the main issue was as well when it was 2-0 to Nastic. Like any team, we would have done it. The real shithousery came in. The laying down, the cramp, the chucking the ball into the stands, thing like that. And we've seen it 1,000 times in Spanish football. That clock goes so quickly when you're getting beat and the antiques are coming in. This is where I didn't believe at the time that we could. But
well, Chris, I'll ask you this because you brought it to our. You were telling us about the players going to the cathedral or the church to pray for a good result. I assume. It's not often.
They weren't going to the cathedral. They were going to El Cautivo, which is the Señor of Malaga. It's one of the statues that goes on the streets in Semana Santa, and they call him the Señor of Malaga because he's very much loved, and he's the guardian of Malaga. Can we say it that way?
Yeah. I think they went to look for him for encouragement, for a blessing, for good luck, and it's not often you'll find a suspension to the game in extra time, but that's what happened on 112 minutes. I think it was the referee out of nowhere just went everybody in. There's Malaga players walking down the tunnel. There's Nastic players going, what on earth is going on? There was a lot of confusion around it, wasn't there? And eventually we find out that he's taken them off the pitch because of some of that shithousery you were talking about, Luke. It wasn't just the players that were chucking balls on the pitch. There was fans chucking balls and other stuff on the pitch, going back to an earlier point where Herrera had a coin chucked at his head. Some of the antics just got out of control. So the referee, to be fair to him, I slated him and I still do slate him, but he made a brave decision there to take them off the pitch, tell everybody they need to get their act together, and then we'll continue.
I think that's the right decision as well.
Yeah, he 100% did the right thing. Like I said earlier regarding Roberto losing his head, this was the bit. Because like you just said, out of nowhere, I don't know how much the TV picked up, but 4 balls just got chucked onto the pitch. Whether that were from the fans, the ball boys, anything. And I mean, at this point, effectively on the clock, there's 7-8 minutes left, I think it was. So Roberto's basically gone over and just absolutely thumped one straight back into the crowd, which, then gets the crowd riled up and everything. Nasty players running over to Roberto. You're thinking Spanish football, he's going to give the yellow card to Roberto, but he didn't. He acted suddenly. He acted very quickly, blew the whistle. And you were thinking, what's happened here? But then it was very clear to see they're going down the tunnel. And did this help Malaga? Yeah, I think it did.
I would ultimately say it did, because I think it did 2 things. It gave Malaga literally 2 or 3 minutes just to get their head straight a little bit. It gave them a chance for Sergio Pellicer to have a little chat with them as well and tell them exactly what they need to do. But I think it stifled Nastic a little bit, didn't it, Alex? I think they were then like, oh, well, we've got to be on best behaviour now. We've had this happen and we don't want it to happen again. Otherwise, that's going to be the reason why we lose. So I think they went really reserved. They sat back, and that's what allowed Malaga for this last, as you said, Luke, 7 or 8 minutes to just bombard.
I think it's crazy that fans, because people say it's fans throwing balls on the pitch. I have never seen fans coming in with footballs into a stadium. That's one thing. So they have been handed out to them by ball boys. Players were throwing balls on the pitch. I think that Nastic de Tarragona has a serious problem, but a serious problem, because if you're a professional football club and you have this behavior, which causes in the past 2 weeks so many danger, and that's the biggest problem, so many danger towards the Malaga players, because they have been putting oil on the fuel.
Yeah. Putting
Number
fuel on
5,
fire.
yeah. Hooking it
Yeah,
up.
the whole time during the past 2 weeks, that you come to a point where it's actually dangerous to be at the Tarragona Stadium as a Malaga player, and I think that's the biggest problem. And this throwing balls on the pitch and everybody agreeing with it, the club agreeing with it. I don't know. If you ask me, they should be even taken out Primera RFF for
But
everything
Chris,
in the past.
one of the strangest things about this game, and I don't think any of you guys would have heard it, because Chris, you would have been in the bar, I guess. You guys wouldn't have had the commentary on. The weirdest thing about this, right, and I have never ever seen this or heard this at a football game. So we like NBA basketball, you know, the old defense. Nastic's sound system was playing defense. Not every single time Malaga went forward, but I would say 1 in 3 times.
during the
And
match.
during the match, you shouldn't have any music on, surely.
No,
But then even if Malaga had the ball, the Nastic, what do you call him, the
Speaker
sound guy, was basically putting on a song, Nastic. And I said to Laura, I says, they can't fucking do this. And I turned around to like where the Fuente Boca on and all the fans were and just thought, what's happening here? Defense. I thought this doesn't happen at football. I've never ever heard this at football in my life.
No. But
he also said very horrible things during the match with the mic open about Ceuta or I don't know. I find it ridiculous. And the most crazy thing I've ever seen is that a friend of the podcast, we can say, Bet Charlie,
Yeah, that was bad.
was celebrating the goal, and then he got pulled away by the head security officer of Tarragona, and he stood up and he threw him on the ground.
But then fellow friend of the pod was grabbing the security guy by the arm, trying to hold him back as well.
Jimenez, because it's not normal, these things.
No.
I think the Spanish Football Federation really has to look at the playoff matches of Tarragona, everything that happened, because in any other normal football league, I think clubs would be thrown out of the league.
Oh, absolutely. Like you say, you would have sanctions put against you for that. And it wasn't just this game that this happened. As we've said, it was a lot of this season. This kind of thing has happened with Nastic, and it sort of came to a head for them. They kind of got their just desserts, though, didn't they, boys? You know, let's just get on to the fun bit now. So obviously they've got this extra bit of added time because they fucked up and they've decided to get the game suspended. We are pummeling them. We are putting ball after ball after ball into the box. Nothing's really hitting. Comes out to Victor on the left-hand side. A lovely deft chip into the middle of the box. Who should be under it? That man, Roberto. You're thinking, oh, is he going to get into a goal? No, he heads it down. And who's waiting there? Little wee Antonito. 17 years old. Right on the line. Beautiful little finish. Just dinks it over the goalkeeper, and we fucking explode, don't we, boys? We go absolutely mental. No matter where you are, I saw you, Luke. I saw you, Chris. Me and Alex. We've gone worldwide famous in Africa with our celebrations. Lads, how do you describe that goal in the 122nd minute of extra time to get promotion? I think it might be the best bit of football I've ever seen.
It was the best feeling I have ever had in football. I leaped about 4 foot in the air onto a girder with the Malaga fans, and I nearly broke my wrist from it and everything. And Oh, it was just crazy. Then jumped down, obviously having my wife with me. She was nearly in tears. She said, I feel like crying. We've got two, which I didn't even know they were Malaga fans next to us. Then we're cuddling them, and it just felt like, it's like, what a fucking moment. What a club, what an everything. And so many emotions just came out at that time. It's so, even now, I'm getting goosebumps right now. And this isn't even trying to be soft. I generally am getting goosebumps thinking and talking about it. Absolutely unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Chris, we saw you in the bar with all the other Malaga fans. We didn't quite hear you, but we heard the chanting, the scenes in that bar as well. And obviously, we've seen some of the imagery that's come from, is it the Corte de Torres, I think it was called, if I remember rightly. Mental scenes on the Costa del Sol as well, weren't they?
I went quiet. I cried a bit. And then I thought I go online. But in 25 years of being a Malaga fan, because I think I can say of all the Giricos members, I am the grandfather of being the Malaga fan. I've seen Malaga play in the UEFA Cup. I've seen Malaga play the Intertoto. I've seen Malaga play. What else did I see? I saw them play against Madrid. Against Madrid in 2009, where they drew 1-1 and not got relegated. I saw them play in the Champions League. I was in the Signal Iduna Park. I was in the Oporto Estadio do Dragão. I was in San Siro. I don't even remember the name, but I was against Anderlecht, the away game. I've heard and seen the Champions League flag for the first time in La Rosaleda, home against Panathinaikos, when I sat in Preferencia. And this is the most beautiful moment in 25 years of being a Malaga fan. Because why? And I've thought about this very well. Because after the Champions League, am I still there?
Yeah.
After the Champions League, every season it went downhill, and it never stopped. Every season a bit, until this season, where we hit rock bottom, and from now it went up for the first time after 11 years. And all the support the club got in the past few weeks in the Costa del Sol, because if you weren't in the Costa del Sol, it was crazy. It was really, really crazy, the amount of interest, the support the club got, and during the whole season. This is by far the most beautiful Malaga moment.
And I think that was really summed up on the Costa del Sol as well. When you look at the videos, Alex, of Malaga Airport at 4:30 in the morning, 5,000 Malaga fans packed outside. That's going viral and been viewed like 1 million or 2 million times now, I think it has. And then even on the parade the next day, they're straight into it. And this isn't a title winning thing. This is the promotion party, but thousands of people lining the streets, following the team bus around everywhere to every single stop they made.
The team arrived at Malaga Airport at 5:30 in the morning. 5:30, and you would say, "Wow, people got up early." No, people never went to sleep.
They just didn't
That's
go
the whole
to bed.
thing.
We didn't even leave the pitch till 1 a.m.
I arrived at the airport probably about 2:00 in the morning, and it was packed.
Mm-hmm. And that was it. They just wanted to welcome them back as well. And like I say, it was sensational to see all the celebrations. And, you guys would have had the blessing as well that unfortunately I had to watch Scotland absolutely crash out the Euro. So my excitement was nullified pretty bloody quickly. But even now, as you said, Luke, I look back on that and I've watched some of the highlights back and I've watched some of the videos back, and it just feels so bloody
amazing,
good. The
mate.
pictures coming out today. You're back in it. You're in amongst those sides, things like that. So absolutely amazing, brilliant.
I also have to say, in 4 years, Giricos, this has been the longest season And I'm not going to lie, I am dying for a summer break.
Hey, Chris, since the Geary cast started, is the jinx, the voodoo over now? Because what's Malaga done since the Geary cast started?
Like they done the past 11 seasons.
Exactly, the jinx is over.
There is no jinx. It was going downhills anyways.
No,
We're back,
not
baby.
anymore.
We're back.
Not anymore. It's
We're
going back up now.
Now it's going up, but it has been always no. But really, it has been a crazy season. I think we created double the content we created in any other season. The season was extra long. We have spent many hours doing things for the Gearycast. Each one of us. Matt doing his Malaga Gaga. Nick making everything of the Malaga Gaga and all the rest he did. Luke, you did an amazing job. Alex.
We've got one more episode to go yet, Chris. So you can say,
did you do something? Yeah, but the last episode is really to enjoy. Did you do anything this season? Oh yeah, Alex did an amazing commentary for 90 minutes in 40 degrees in the Malaga Stadium, and has been doing wonderful, being the person with accreditation in La Rosaleda. And yeah, we all did great, I think.
we all deserve a good old pat on the back. And this is where we'll get to the point where we need to give a pat on the back to the players who played in that last game. One final match, Chumbo and Biznaga for the season. I'll start with Chumbos. Are we picking a Chumbo?
Fuck the Chumbo.
I've got one off the bat already.
I ain't Chumboing anybody.
Alex is Chumbo in. Alex, Chumbo away.
My Chumbo, I'm giving my Chumbo to two Chumbo awards today. The first one goes to the referee, and the second one goes to Nastic de Tarragona.
The referee?
Oh, we hated the referee in the live stream, Chris. We couldn't actually believe what we were watching, and everyone agreed with us as well. His performance was absolutely bloody shocking.
Well, I agree with you. We will see this referee next season again because he also got promoted.
He went home on the Malaga bus, celebrated promotion with him like a certain Dutch referee did.
No, but let me say this. I think every referee in the world would have had a tough job with this match, and the thing he did by suspending the match for 8 minutes, I think you need to have huge balls,
big balls,
like elephant balls to do that.
Big balls,
and absolutely. So who's your Chumbo then, Chris? Or are you not picking one?
Yes, I'm picking one.
Go on
because
then. Who's your?
It was a football match. I'm going with La Rubia.
La Rubia, yeah. Thought bit quiet, bit similar to Kevin. To be fair,
to be honest, I think the whole playoff series we didn't see very much of him. I think the nerves really got to him in every match he played. So I didn't also understand the change, the substitution of Kevin with La Rubia.
Luke, have you got a Chumbo for us this week?
I would love to, but I can't. Just the adrenaline and everything at the time in the game, I can't really remember too much about performances.
I think if I had to give a very reluctant Chumbo to a player, I thought Joaquin was a bit off the mark in this game for me. I thought especially Alan had a bit of a good run at him. And a lot came down that left-hand side. But that is a very, very slight Chumbo. If I want to give an actual Chumbo to someone, it's to Danny Vidal, because what a fucking ridiculous manager he was. Petulant. It annoys me that he's younger than me as well. And he also wore blue and white stripes as the fucking home manager to the game. Lost like, put your head on, mate. So we get to the fun bit. Biznaga. What are we going for here, guys? I'm struggling, if I'm being perfectly honest. Alex, who are you going for?
I'm making loads of special exceptions today. I make a habit of never giving it to substitutes. I, always have given it to one particular person. First of all, I'm going to give a Biznaga to everyone at the club. whether you're a physio, kit man, media, whatever you've done throughout this whole season to build to this point, been fantastic. And I'm going to give an honourable mention to every single player on that pitch, whether it was in that game or whether it was in the playoff semi-final against Celta Fortuna, or it was in any of those 38 games that they played in the season. But I'm going to give my Biznaga to a certain 17-year-old lad, as Christian Mikowski called him on Twitter, Tony Lamb, Antonio Cordero. You are my Biznaga for this game.
Perfecto. Who incidentally has apparently his dad has said he's turned down £500,000 to go to Saudi Arabia, so he's closer to home. Well done, Mr. Cordero. Chris, who's your Biznaga for this week?
I'm going with Antonito, and everyone which Alex has named said, I think everybody in the club makes this possible. An honorable mention to Quique Perez. I think the job he has done in a year is pretty neat. He brought calm back in the club. So, but yeah, Antonito for sure.
That's 2 for Antonito. I'm going to go with Aaron Ochoa Maloney. I thought he was very much the catalyst for this game. So he only played 20 minutes, but I thought he was excellent when he came on. He was that live wire that we needed. Luke, are you going with Antonito, Aaron Ochoa Maloney, or someone else?
Well, I'm glad that you said that, Nick, because I didn't want to pick between any of them. So if I go with Aaron Ochoa Maloney, then our 2 boys deserve to share the Biznaga. But secondly, to what Chris and Alex have both said, every single person at that club, and just again, the scenes, it was so emotional. Where as soon as the Nastic fans went away, we were stood right on the end of the pitch, and I said to Laura, the players are going to come straight back out here. And they came running out, bouncing out. We dived over. I think I were among the first 20 on the pitch. I've hugged Genaro, Hightown, Kevin, Carlos Lopez, Dione. You don't get that at other football clubs. These players.
Did your wife kiss with Quique Perez? Did it happen?
Yeah, well, yeah. So
was it French kissing? What was it?
No, with the Latin greeting, the kiss on either cheek kind of thing.
Did you see his hands? Where did his hands go?
Yeah. But no, just I saw a coach, just an old man, one of the coaches just stood there, and you just gave him a massive hug, and you just felt every emotion. And then, like Chris just said, Quique Perez approached us, and God knows what he was shouting at us, but he was very fucking happy and sweaty, very sweaty man. And then he's just dived on me, he's cuddled me and cuddled me again, and then he's gone to Laura and he's kissing her on her cheeks. Kissing on her cheeks. And but just why is that happening? Why is that happening? You've got yes, we have gone down massively from the Champions League days, but we've got one of the biggest names at the club diving on you. You can really tell that the players appreciated every single moment from all the fans. And the thing with this Malaga team is, like we've seen the antics from the dressing rooms, the videos, the socials, etc. They were singing every song the Malaga fans were singing. They were dancing. They knew every word to it. Una Gitana Loca, everything. Just what an unbelievable feel. So Biznaga goes to Malaga Football Club.
I also think there is no club in the world where the connection in a season has been so close between players and fans as in Malaga. And I think that is what gave us the promotion to Segunda. It's the connections between the players and the fans.
And Chris, just to add to that, just what you're saying in terms of the players, the fans, the Geary cast as well. During that day, we met some three blokes from Cumbria who just listened to the Geary cast. Cumbria, Carlisle, not a million mile from Nick, basically. But yeah, up north. But they just the togetherness of the fans. Everyone appreciates everyone. Like we all said, it's as if you're walking into a welfare club. Everybody knows each other. I mean, us guys here right now. Alex from Somerset, yourself, Holland and Spain, Nick Blackpool. We know each other like
if I look
brothers.
on the map of Game of Thrones, where about is Umbria?
We're slowly losing it. We had a really good out just then where we were saying how
Yeah.
beautiful the passion was, the connection of the players and the fans.
Basically, what I'm saying is,
what perfect ending this would be. Now we're talking
every
about Game of Thrones.
togetherness.
I know.
Every togetherness.
That's crazy.
So I'm just gonna grab this by the hands. I'm gonna agree with the sentiment. This season has been the best fucking season ever, despite the fact we've been in Primera Federación. I can't thank everybody enough for their input. Players, management, you guys, fans, Gearys, fucking brilliant from everyone. So
Do we thank Primera? Do we thank Primera?
We can do, but maybe at another time. Maybe another time. However, we will have one more episode left, won't we, guys? So we're not done just yet. We've got one more episode left for this season. And we cancelled last season's because it was an abomination of a season. However,
there's gonna be some party.
We are happy to be bringing back the Geary Cast End of Season Awards next week. So make sure that you are tuning in for that one as well. So thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. Chris Marquez, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Vamos Malaga.
Luke Chambers in Doncaster, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Nick. The biggest Vamos Malaga of the season. Vamos.
Vamos. And Mr. Worldwide himself, Alex Ashmore, thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm just going to leave you all with a little poignant quote. Someone tweeted me saying that in my Malaga Rosaleda fans article on June the 8th, I said, if last week taught us anything, it's that you have to play until the final whistle.
Yes, beautiful sentiments. And that is exactly what Malaga did. And I'm sure if Matt was here as well, he'd have big thank yous for you guys too. So obviously, big thank you to Matt Harrison for his...
I have one last thing to say.
Go for it, Chris. One last thing to say.
I would like to thank Malaga Femenino captain Ruth for all her... for the love she's shown in the past couple of years. She is leaving Malaga Club de Fútbol Femenino, and I wish her all the best. And thank you for being there. Thank you for putting out Malaga's word everywhere, and thank you for your for everything. So vamos, Ruth.
Vamos, gracias. And thank you for everybody listening at home. You've been listening to the Geary Cast as part of the Sports Social Podcast Network. We'll be back next week for one last episode, but for the final time of this actual season, Vamos Malaga. We'll see you soon.